You see, MrBeast is the opposite of what parents worry about when they hear the word YouTuber. The outraged merchants who flood the internet and made millions before they'd finished puberty gave the growing profession a bad reputation. Whereas MrBeast builds schools for the poor, homes for the homeless, saves endangered animals, gives sight to the blindness, hearing to the deaf, and pays for life-changing surgeries. He's probably the only example of someone getting nicer the more successful they became. And that's no accident, it's pure optimization. Because the internet's most beloved philanthropist is actually emblematic of an inhuman system of constant consumption and escalation. One that demands we sacrifice our children at the altar of mindless consumption. One that incentivizes us to trade our humanity for growth, profit, and power. This is how the world's most popular YouTuber today became the very system Moolok warned us of thousands of years ago. Now, the Moolok system today is everywhere, but it doesn't demand the literal sacrifice of children anymore. Now its arenas are conflict, technology, and especially the internet. Entertainment was transformed by the internet. Entertainment was always made for an audience, but the internet turned entertainment into content, which can't survive without one. And content is the result of Moolok's system. It feeds on human attention and its own consumption. YouTube promised to democratize content creation, but instead it in turn industrialized it, catalyzing entertainment's transformation into content. Content isn't just consumed by audiences are consumed themselves. Their time, their thoughts, their attention, their data are all resources mined and monetized. Inevitably, someone was going to discover the double helix of the algorithm. But what people didn't anticipate was that a shy kid from North Carolina with a few unwatched Minecraft videos would sacrifice almost 10 years of his childhood to do it. So what did Jimmy Donaldson discover during those years? And what does it have to do with Moolok's warnings? Well, Moolok warns us of three things, and the MrBeast machine harnesses all three better than anyone else on Earth. The first is consumption. Consumption is probably not the first thing that comes to mind with MrBeast, but when we peel back the layers of his brand, we can see how he optimizes everything to drive consumption to a nuclear level, weaving himself into the fabric of the algorithm so that other creators and audiences would have to follow in his wake.
There's a million levers that go into a video, from the quality to even the cameras you use to how you edit it to, yes, the more obvious stuff like the prize pool or the set design. So it's just focusing on all those granular things and just constantly improving them every time.
MrBeast discovered something about consumption that sets him apart from other successful YouTubers. Negative content, whether it's a rage-baiting prankster or mukbanger, always has a ceiling, a point at which it can't grow anymore. Yes, some creators did well for a while, but there's only so much appetite for watching greedy or selfish people. There will always be a point when consumption plateaus and collapses. Generosity, although it's way harder to capture attention with, doesn't have that ceiling. And it's why MrBeast makes extreme generosity the centerpiece of his brand. Now, I'm not saying this is just a cynical move. There's no doubt that Jimmy Donaldson is genuinely a good guy. Making money by giving it away is hardly the epitome of evil. But he didn't want to be a charity. He wanted to be the #1 content creator in the world. And when charity is harnessed and optimized like everything in the MrBeast machine, the upside is endlessly scalable, and the opportunity for consumption is limitless. Because charity isn't necessarily a moral action in a MrBeast video, it's a tool to leverage human emotion. By using it to control narrative tension, he can drive viewer retention, ad sales, improve branding, and channel growth, all while the algorithm rewards him for it. So we have to ask, why does MrBeast charity make more money than it gives? Beast Industries, the corporate umbrella behind everything MrBeast, recently secured $200 million in investment, valuing the company at $5 billion. That company includes Beast Philanthropy. Yet private equity doesn't invest in charities. Their shareholders demand growth and profits, and charities are sustained through donations and volunteers, meaning they're very distinct from for-profit organizations. And so the moment private equity enters the room changes, and by folding Beast Philanthropy into his $5 billion valuation, the question stops being about how much good is he doing and becomes about how much his generosity is worth to investors. And it's not just MrBeast. VC money is now moving directly into YouTube, buying up and partnering with big channels. Many of the creators you watch every day probably have shareholders you've never heard of. And at the top of that chain sits YouTube itself. Owned by Alphabet, its largest shareholders are Vanguard, BlackRock, and State Street. Their involvement didn't just encourage the shift from general content sharing to retention-focused content for advertisers, but it reshaped what YouTube is and who gets rewarded for serving that system. But before we continue, I want to tell you about Saley. In doing these videos, I travel a lot and work remotely. Yet, one of the strangest things about modern travel is that your entire digital life just breaks the moment you land somewhere new. Maps stop loading, messages lag, and if you try to use your regular data plan, you're usually hit with roaming charges that make no sense. So most people either hunt for Wi-Fi everywhere or just stay disconnected. But Saily fixes that. It's an eSIM app that gives you mobile data wherever you are, without ever needing a physical SIM card or dealing with your own carrier back at home. It's really simple to use. You just download the app, pick your country or region, and activate a data plan directly from your phone. So instead of having to figure it all out when you land, you can have everything set up before you even leave the airport, and your phone will just work, as if you never even changed countries. It's especially useful if you travel often, or you're moving between countries as a digital nomad, because then everything stays digital and easy to manage, meaning you can explore multiple countries and never have to worry. I highly recommend you try it, and you can get an exclusive 15% discount on Saily data plans if you use my code MOONREAL. So make sure to use the link in the description below and download the Saily app, or go to saily.com/moonreal to get started. The second discovery MrBeast made was even more important and had more of a corrosive effect on content creation's descent into the toxic Moolok system than any other. He mastered the art of the spectacle. MrBeast isn't just a YouTuber, he's a ringmaster, a showman. And while putting on a spectacle is an art, MrBeast has gotten it down to a science, a skill honed over years of iterating it to perfection. Even his thumbnails are studied to understand why they're so effective on human psychology. Each one costs over $10,000 to produce. No aspect is left unexplored, no opportunity to drive consumption left unoptimized. And he learnt it from one of his first viral videos. In it, he counts to 100,000. The extreme nature of the challenge is appealing, but the reality of it is insanely boring.
934, 98,935, 98,936, 98,937.
MrBeast saw that wasn't the issue, the lack of spectacle was. To reap the rewards in Moolok's system, a dull idea must be taken to its extremes, and then turned into a visual feast. Take this video for example. Someone gets $500,000 to stay in a house inside a circle for 100 days. The idea is bland, but that's on purpose. It means it's simple enough for everyone to understand, no matter your age, language, culture, or class. Yet it's extreme enough to intrigue almost everyone. Now you can't just draw a circle around a house and film the participant. The presentation needs spectacle, it needs to overwhelm us visually and orally. We need to be distracted from the core idea and get sucked into the spectacle. So he finds an enormous space that makes the circle feel ultra isolated.
I laid a giant circle in the middle of nowhere.
Nor does he have a house in it at first, as this would miss an opportunity for more spectacle. So he has a fully built home clumsily dropped from the sky by a massive crane. And inevitably, when the monotony of filming someone with nothing to do threatens the spectacle, he adds more. Machines now destroy half the home.
Not only did we bring a wrecking ball, but we also brought an excavator. Take the roof off!
An entire marching band is then brought into play for 12 hours.
Bring in the marching band! Do you want to know what the best part about this is? I paid them to be here all night.
Clowns are then hired to stand in silence throughout the night.
All right, attention clowns, nod your head if you can hear me. I'll give you all $1,000 each if you stay all night.
And when the tricks get old, the best prop of all is rolled out: human emotion.
Happy Father's Day!
Daddy.
Almost makes me feel bad for trapping him in here.
Manipulating people's emotions on both sides of the camera always helps to keep the punches coming. As with every spectacle and all MrBeast videos, it ends with a crescendo. An explosion of sounds, fireworks, crowds, tears, applause, and a huge check. It's bread and circuses at its finest. And it also shows another one of MrBeast's secrets of limitless consumption: toxic positivity. At the end, everyone is thrilled, as they always are in a MrBeast video. The positivity could power a small city, and probably would if it could be made into a 15-minute video. MrBeast is beaming as always while being lionized by the same guy he just locked away for 3 months. His wife and children are overwhelmed with joy. They have their dad back and $500,000 in the bank. It's also very wonderful. It also increases the range of viewers he can reach more than any other factor, more than the eye-watering generosity, because Moolok demands endless consumption, and the biggest audience on YouTube are his favorite victims: children. MrBeast is almost sickeningly curated to appeal to children. Where he outmaneuvers other creators is in his appeal to their parents. He is safe, he's always smiling. Jokes are always tame and silly. He never uses bad language, never shows any political affiliation, or allows socially charged topics to jeopardize his unobstructed access to children all over the world. People picked up on his smile a while ago. It's radiant, white, big, always on display, and somehow empty. It never reaches the eyes, which look hollow and joyless. He's almost in pain, suffering to fake happiness. It's like he's been sent back to school to be forced to retake his high school yearbook photo, and once it was noticed, it became a meme on social media. People really didn't like it. It's something he also tried to optimize, but he made the mistake of thinking a natural expression that humans are hardwired to read could be quantified and produced on demand like a thumbnail. A set of nice aligned pearly whites simply don't make up for the two soulless unhappy eyes. And despite recent controversies, Jimmy Donaldson might be the only example of someone becoming a billionaire without ever getting hate over the way he did it. It doesn't matter that his operation takes advantage of desperate people or uses cheap tricks to manipulate the audience's emotions, because everything is covered in a gloss of hyper-positivity. From the title to the thumbnail, the hook, the setup, the banter, the payoff, it's all carefully calibrated to be as universally palatable as possible. It's also why the most positive person on the internet is emblematic of everything now wrong with it, because the success of this performance positivity drives the final factor in driving consumption: scale. The last piece of the puzzle MrBeast discovered was that to get on top, everything had to scale infinitely. It permeates everything in his productions, from the easily digestible premise to the perfect thumbnails, all scientifically optimized for maximum scale. His videos are offered in various languages, and it works because none of the videos or narratives are tied to a culture viewers need to understand. They could be repeated by anyone, anywhere, and any time, and still be totally engaging.
I'm gonna spend
As próximas 50 horas enterrado vivo nesse...
Dans ce cercueil, c'est sûrement la pire idée que j'ai eue.
Chicos, séguenlo!
The competitions themselves are so straightforward that a small child can understand them, but taken to such an extreme and so much pageantry even most adults can happily watch a whole video. This formula of generosity, spectacle, positivity and scale is a system, and once you see it, you really can't unsee it, and you start to ask, is his success fueling his philanthropy, or is philanthropy fueling his success? Because when we take a step back, we're not really watching a global wholesome guy and his ever-increasing generosity. What we're seeing is the next thing Moolok warned us of: escalation. If scale is making videos anyone can watch, then escalation is making videos no one can ignore. MrBeast is a machine. Its packaging is generosity, but its engine is escalation. Being number one isn't good enough. If you don't grow, you die, and MrBeast's magic formula alone won't drive growth forever. And at some point, there's only so many variables to maximize. So then, the only choice left is to escalate. And this has kicked off an arms race that's now unavoidable for anyone on YouTube, because now it's not a platform to upload spontaneous videos of anything they find interesting. It's an algorithm that rewards or punishes based on data. Once escalation is introduced, all creators must escalate to be seen or accept being buried by the algorithm. It spawned all the creators to churn out I Did Excessive Thing videos, from Ryan Trahan, Matthew Beam, Eric, Nick Giovanni, the Stoke twins, all of them. MrBeast learned early on that escalation is an easy way to cut through to a bigger audience.
Well, the world record's 2,000. We're gonna serve around 10,000 today, so we'll 5x the world record for most burgers sold in a day.
Whatever works once can work 100 times, but you must increase it by an order of magnitude the next time you do it. He could have counted to 100 or 1,000, but 100,000 is so much more extreme it immediately lands. 6 years ago, his videos had $10,000 giveaway prizes, and that was much more than most top creators would spend on a video. But 6 months ago, the prize in a video has now risen to $1 million.
Guys. Yeah. Well, last one of you to leave that gets 10 grand.
To celebrate, I bought this ginormous private island and I'm giving it to one of you in this video.
If they spend the next 30 days here, I will give them $250,000.
I just trapped 50 of the biggest streamers in this queue, and whoever leaves last was that $1 million. One of you will walk away with the life-changing, record-shattering grand prize of $5 million.
But it's not just his challenging videos that escalate, his charity ones do too. It's no longer help one person, it's build 10 schools.
In this video, we are building 10 schools all around the world.
Then dig 100 wells in Africa.
This is the first of 100 wells we're gonna build in this video.
Then 100 houses.
In this video, we are building and giving away 100 houses.
Then save 1,000 animals from dying.
And it's the first of 1,000 animals we're gonna be saving in this video.
Then cure 1,000 people's blindness.
In this video, we're curing 1,000 people's blindness.
This is the first out of 1,000 deaf people that we're gonna help hear again.
This should be inspiring and energizing, so why does it start to feel exhausting? Now, this wouldn't be such a sinister thing if all creators copied its generosity and family-friendly fun, but MrBeast is just the purest version of a system that produces the worst creators.
This is actually the same road that she passed away on, guys. Like I said, it was a drunk driver. I'll miss you, Alexia. Especially on mine and Alexia's channel, Dream Team. She just wanted to get 1 million subscribers.
Those who compromise long-term scalability for short-term virality, and when they escalate, things get dark quickly. Jack Doherty started out as a sweet kid flipping cups. He leaned into that playful side, and soon that became mischief.
Hello, hello. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome Christian Lama singing Rockstar by Post Malone on the intercom.
Which is fine too, no one was getting hurt, but at some point, the escalation forces you to pass a threshold. If you start with harmless pranks, they must escalate to not so harmless pranks.
The warped wall. Go away, film this, she's calling the cops. I know, she's calling the cops.
Until one day, you're filming petty crimes or endangering your life for views.
Alright guys, I just totaled my McLaren. It is completely cooked right now.
When we look again through Moolok's lens, we see how that escalation arms race that MrBeast epitomizes actually creates those people. Nikado Avocado shows us how Moolok's escalation trap forces someone to sacrifice their values, health, and dignity in the pursuit of attention. He even started his YouTube journey at the same time as MrBeast. Only when he started, he was slim, vegan, and focused on health and sustainability.
Think of a few people in general where they've tried making original content and stopped with the calling out videos, and very few people watched them because they weren't original or they were boring or no.
But as vegan content cools off and escalation becomes imperative to growth, he pivots to more extreme food content.
Welcome to my eating show. Today we are doing something really special. This is my first time ever having ramen noodles. But we added some vegetables. There's some vegetables in here. There's carrots, there's broccoli, there's peas, there's tomatoes. Yes, so just to get some more nutrients.
Then the algorithm rewards him, but there's still plenty of room for escalation. He can skip those extra vegetables and nutrients. From here, his success skyrockets as his health plummets. He completed a full reversal from someone using YouTube to spread information about a healthy lifestyle choice, and within a few years was the willing symbol of consumption and gluttony.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, that gluttony.
And this is an ongoing trend, whether it be Nikado Avocado, Jack Doherty, or even Bonnie Blue. YouTube is littered with the unmarked graves of forgotten creators, those who went too far and lost everything. But it didn't damage only them, because every escalation, every normalization of worse behavior all continue to shape the online world, and in turn, it damaged us too. We participated in watching, we become complicit, and now all of us, even if we don't like or watch people like Jack Doherty or MrBeast, are affected as our attention spans and interests are shaped by this online environment. But escalation isn't limited to these examples, as AI has just dumped rocket fuel onto this process. As MrBeast thumbnails have always looked like AI, so when every other creator suddenly had access to these tools, that plastic thumbnail design proliferated across the platform. Which is why you have probably noticed there are around 3 types of thumbnail across YouTube. 10 years ago, there was no templates, there was no science behind it. There were no boxes to tick to get noticed by the algorithm. Now, if creators don't follow the rules laid out by MrBeast, they face a mountain to climb just to get a handful of views. These two malign influences actually converged when MrBeast launched an AI thumbnail tool himself, which he had to ditch only a few days later as creators lashed out at him for pushing the use of generic AI in content, while real writers, cinematographers, and editors were losing work to these new tools.
How's it going, guys? A week ago, I launched an AI thumbnail tool to help small creators make better thumbnails, and I thought people were going to be pretty excited about it, but I definitely missed the mark.
But ironically, entertainment being turned into a science is now coming back to bite MrBeast, to the point where he says he's actually worried AI slop will kill his YouTube dominance. What he doesn't acknowledge is that reducing content to a science like this, where videos are made purely with retention in mind, it in turn means that AI will be able to emulate it, because there is no authentic human behind it. AI will soon be able to do all of the rapid fire edits, music to keep the pacing motoring along, and scripts that only use short bursts of sentences, leaving no danger for poor writing as everything has already moved on to the next clip before you have time to notice. Which means he might have sacrificed his childhood to be able to build a machine so efficiently inhuman that actual machines can now run it without him. And this is what Moolok's system always does. It consumes what it feeds and moves on. Mr. Beast was just the first sacrifice. You see, sacrifice is the payment for Moolok's rewards. It fuels the system. It's no longer only children, but they are the main target. Today, the sacrifice feeding Moolok is drawn from all of us, starting with Mr. Beast. As a child struggling for views on his Minecraft videos, he sacrificed what remained of his childhood, his success in school sports, his opportunity to go to college, his future basically just to study the algorithm.
I can't really remember life before YouTube. Like, my earliest memories are basically when I started making videos.
And clearly, he was a genius at making videos. He'd wake up, open his laptop, and spend the rest of his waking hours dissecting videos, hooks, edits, titles, thumbnails. It was the maniacal focus needed to become a billionaire. Every single element of YouTube virality, failed videos and channels.
From a young age, I really just studied what virality was, and I spent my entire teenage years just basically studying. And that was kind of my obsession for like 8 or 9 years.
He gave over all importance in life to the algorithm, but at a cost on seminal moments of his youth, the ones most other kids his age got to experience.
We agreed not to drink, we didn't do drugs, like we didn't date, we didn't do anything. We just literally obsessed from the time we woke up to the time we went to bed.
All to know the system, but when he understood it, he willed it to such great effect that he soon became the system, the Moolok of the internet. But why? What gave him this innate energy and focus to do this? It is just insanely impressive what he's done, and everyone wants his wealth and power and fame, yet almost no one is willing to make the sacrifices for it. Well, the answer to this might be the story that he doesn't tell us publicly, that might hint towards the answer, possibly to escape. Seemingly, he was isolated at school, with peers calling him mute because he rarely spoke and says he couldn't relate to anyone else.
I have a memory of that, like really is burned in my brain. It's like, people, one time like a high schooler told me when I was, all you do is talk about YouTube, like, do you like know how to do anything else? Like you're just like a freak. And I eventually just like stopped talking because I just didn't relate to anyone, and people used to call me mute.
His parents then tragically went bankrupt in the 2008 recession as their income was tied to the property market. After that, his mother was always out working, who eventually feared that her son might become a loser if he only focused on YouTube. While the two were deeply connected, his relationship with his father was apparently worse. In fact, it's one thing he refuses to discuss.
Why don't you talk about your father much?
Don't worry about it.
I know your mum has spoken about him before.
Yeah.
And it was a bit of a tumultuous relationship?
Yeah, exactly. They didn't have the best relationship.
In her blog, Recovering from Domestic Violence, which has now been scrubbed from the internet, his mother said her husband, Tommy, was physically abusive, being an officer in the military and a big drinker. In a podcast discussing her book, Recovering from Domestic Abuse, she said,
"For 20 of those years, I was emotionally, sexually, and physically abused by my husband."
And that when she was at home, she was tragically in prison. Of course, this really shed some light on why Mr. Beast refuses to go there. It's a horrible dark spot in his childhood, so perhaps none of this did feel like a sacrifice. It could have just been an escape. To finally gain the attention and recognition he was lacking. Locking himself away in his room was self-preservation in a chaotic and violent home. And it's a similar story for people like Elon Musk, Mr. Beast's hero. As is often the case, bad childhoods can lead to massive success. And weirdly, he now admits that devoting himself to the online world could have been a bad choice, one that's left him unhappy much of the time.
Yeah. People shouldn't be me. I don't have a life. I don't have work-life balance. My personality, my soul, my being is making the best videos possible. You know, I'm miserable a lot of times. I have a mental breakdown every other week because I push myself so hard.
Yet, what he perfected as a lonely young teen is now what other young teens around the world consume. They spend their time on his videos and use their parents' money to buy his merchandise, his previous burgers, and his Feastables.
I am absolutely stunned by the amount of people that have traveled here from cross-country, out of the country, and some have never even tried one of these burgers.
He goes even further by disguising their sacrifice as contributing to his charity, while also laying out the promise of further escalation as long as more sacrifice is made in the form of more consumption. Thousands of years ago, parents had to bring their children to sacrifice at Moolok's effigy. But today, his altar is everywhere. The internet made every child on Earth reachable in an instant, and whoever became the Moolok of the internet would reap the rewards. Sacrifice doesn't end with his child audience, it's embedded into every layer of his productions as well. What we often see as philanthropy is actually sacrifice. The participants in his challenge videos aren't simply being given enormous amounts of money for nothing, they are reduced to props for entertainment.
We are just about to witness San Kaboe, a 59-year-old woman, receive prosthetic legs and walk for the very first time.
The very real challenges they face in life are commodified for Mr. Beast's own challenge videos.
So we made it our mission to build a brand new surgical center in the heart of Ghana to help survivors like these two brothers, Ernest and Richmond, who were sold as slaves after being abandoned by their parents.
So why do people star in his videos? Well, the reason isn't always riches. They face debt, poverty, eye-watering medical bills, disability. Their reason is desperation.
I would pay off my mortgage and my debt.
How much debt?
A lot.
Do you feel comfortable sharing?
With mortgage, credit cards, loans, I probably owe about $530.
I will do whatever it takes for my family.
In today's neo-feudal internet age, they have little choice. They aren't going to get that $500,000 in 3 months any other way. So they agree to be filmed trapped inside a circle for 3 months. Kept away from their wife and children, they sacrifice their dignity and become an animal in a zoo for someone else's amusement. Their humanity is stripped away and sold off as a commodity. Of course, they could decline the opportunity. Mr. Beast isn't forcing anyone to accept, but when ordinary people's lives become a game of survival, the line between choice and coercion blurs. And he knows it, as it's incorporated into his videos for emotional payoff.
This is gonna change my life. Tomorrow I'm gonna take a lot of this and pay my bills. Thank you so much.
And it's not only participants who are sacrificed at his altar. The more productions he makes, the more his team grows, the more collabs he does with Amazon, the more the stories about who he really is leak out. That always smiling, generous, happy guy is a character. People involved in various Mr. Beast productions have told their story about Mr. Beast productions. Now we can't personally claim this, and there is a lot of evidence saying otherwise. Yet allegations are leaking that range from him being narcissistic and maniacal to downright rude and dismissive. Some people have alleged they were endangered on the outlandish sets. Others apparently say they were only given one small bowl of food on a full day's filming. Others say, quote, they were underfed and overtired, with meals provided, quote, sporadically and sparsely. The 54-page document also details allegations of an unsafe environment with contestants being penned into small areas, dangerous sets and insufficient background checks allowing convicted criminals to even participate. Whether true or not, it's clear that everyone is a cog in Moolok's machine, made to sacrifice in service to the system, to keep churning out content for consumption, to fuel ever-escalating videos, to keep feeding the machine what it demands for profit, wealth and power. And somehow, the machine still wants more. In 2024, he posted a tweet viewed 37 million times. Consider what his presidential campaign would actually look like. Extreme generosity, unprecedented scale, a smile that never drops, content so universally palatable it crosses every cultural and political line, and his party an audience of hundreds of millions primed to consume whatever he produces, who will then be of voting age by the time he's old enough to run. He's already shown his formula, giveaways capture human attention while charity when optimized has no ceiling. So what happens when democracy is eventually beastified? When he decides to harvest votes and not just views? Well, Jimmy might have won the YouTube game, but he didn't escape Moolok. He became him. And Moolok doesn't only want your children's attention, 3,000 years later he's showing us what his endgame really is.